LaFleur.
Slam dunk.
Slam dunk. He was amazing in the 70s. I used to watch him all the time. At 59, I see the game differently than I did when I first stepped into the National Hockey League. Back then, everything felt urgent. Every shift carried weight. Every mistake felt bigger than it really was. Today, the noise is gone, and all that remains is clarity. When I look back at my career, I do not think about the trophies or the records. I think about the people who shaped the way I played. That is the real measure of a lifetime in this sport. When I entered the league, the Pittsburgh Penguins were not a powerhouse. We were fighting for identity and survival. I was expected to change everything overnight. The truth is that no player does that alone. My game was never built on speed or volume. It was built on control, control of the puck, control of the lane, control of the timing. That separates a highlight from a turnover, but control is only meaningful when someone is trying to take it from you. The league in the 80s was fast and physical. It was filled with players who knew how to pressure you, disrupt your rhythm, and make you feel uncomfortable. That environment forced me to become smarter. I had to read plays earlier. I had to find ways to slow the game down, even when everything around me was moving fast. The opponents who stood out were not the ones who tried to intimidate me. They were the ones who understood hockey at the deepest level and made me earn every inch of ice. This is not a list built on friendship. It is not based on personality or popularity. These 5 players earned my admiration because they challenged me in ways that mattered. Facing them changed how I approached the sport. And to understand why these names still stay with me, you need to understand the journey that shaped me when I first came into the league. When I arrived in the National Hockey League in 1984, I stepped into a world that demanded more than talent. I was a 6'4" center with vision and reach, but the league did not give out respect easily. I had to earn it shift by shift, and my era was defined by pace and physical commitment. Teams pressed hard, defensive systems tightened, goaltenders became smarter, every play required intention, and every decision carried weight. My job was to take a franchise that had been struggling for years and pull it toward a future that felt out of reach. That responsibility shaped me as much as any goal I ever scored. People often talk about my hands or my imagination, but those things grow only when they are tested. The opponents who pushed me the hardest were the ones who understood the small details of the game. They read passing lanes before they appeared. They controlled tempo with the quiet parts of their stride. They forced me to think deeper about space and timing. That is where admiration comes from. Not from friendship and not from highlights, but from the pressure of playing against someone who leaves you with no easy choices. And that brings me to number 5. Number 5, Ray Bourque, precision. Ray Bourque was the first player who made me understand that precision can be as punishing as strength. When people talk about the Boston Bruins, they often focus on the physical edge of that franchise, but with Bourque, the danger came from something far quieter. He controlled his side of the ice with discipline that never wavered. You could not rush him. You could not bait him. You could not move him into mistakes. Every step he took was calculated, and every reach of his stick carried a purpose. As a forward who relied on creativity, I quickly learned that any loose movement against him would turn into a turnover before I even realized what happened. I had seen great defensemen before, but Bourque played the position with a level of detail that demanded my full attention. Facing him was always a lesson in patience. I liked slowing the game down, but Bourque slowed it even more, and he did it without losing control of the moment. He would angle his body in ways that pushed me toward the boards. He would take away passing lanes before my line mates even recognized the play. When I tried to carry the puck through the middle, he met me with positioning that felt almost surgical. There were no wild swings and no reckless hits. He did not chase the puck. He absorbed the play and redirected it. That kind of defender forces you to think differently. I could not rely on instinct alone. I had to plan 2 or 3 touches ahead because Bourque removed the obvious option every single time. The respect I have for him comes not only from our battles but also from how consistently he performed. Night after night, he delivered the same standard of excellence. There was no drop in focus. There was no shift where he drifted mentally. I remember entering games against Boston knowing that if I wanted to change the outcome, I would have to beat Bourque in moments where he rarely slipped. That challenge sharpened my game. It made my passing more deceptive. It made my shooting choices more deliberate. It forced me to find new angles and new rhythms because he refused to give me space that other defensemen sometimes overlooked. The more I played against him, the more I realized that his greatness was not built on highlight plays, but on denying others the chance to create them. People sometimes ask which defenseman gave me the most trouble, but the answer has always been complicated because it depends on the era and the situation, but Bourque stands near the top for one simple reason. He never let me settle. Even on nights when I was feeling good and the puck was following me, I had to stay alert because he waited for the smallest lapse in timing. If I crossed the blue line with the puck too loosely, he stripped it clean. If I attempted a cross-ice pass without full conviction, he cut it off. If I tried to hide my release, he tracked my shoulders instead of the puck. That kind of defender does not just block possibilities. He changes the way you think. I admired Ray Bourque because he made excellence look routine. He was a cornerstone of the Bruins and a symbol of reliability in a league that rarely allowed anyone to remain consistent. When I look back at the players who shaped my understanding of the sport, he is one of the first names that comes to mind. Precision is not as loud as power, but it is every bit as intimidating. Bourque proved that, and every game against him reminded me that the smallest details often decide the biggest moments. Number 4, Mark Messier, leadership. Mark Messier taught me that leadership is not a title. It is the ability to tilt a game through presence alone. Every time I faced him, I understood why teams followed him so naturally. He did not need speeches to set a tone. His stride did it. His body language did it. The way he attacked loose pucks or finished plays did it. Messier brought a level of seriousness to the ice that forced everyone around him to match it, and when you were on the other side of that energy, you felt it in the first shift. And Edmonton in the 1980s was already overwhelming with talent and speed, but Messier added something heavier. He brought conviction to every moment. It did not matter if it was a tight playoff game or a regular season night in the middle of a long road trip. His intensity never dropped, and he pulled his team along with him. And playing against him required commitment because he would test your resolve early. If you hesitated, he would take advantage. If you drifted for a second, he would drive straight through the space you left open. There was no comfort zone when Messier was on the ice, so he had the power to win battles down low. He had the speed to attack on the rush. He had the awareness to set up plays from the half wall. You never knew which version of him you were going to face on a given shift because he could impact the game in so many ways. That unpredictability kept me honest. I could not take a shift off. I had to stay engaged physically and mentally because he never offered easy minutes. What I admired most about him was how he handled pressure. Some players shrink when games tighten. Messier grew. He played with the belief that the moment belonged to him if he wanted it. You felt that confidence even before the puck dropped. His teammates fed off it, and his opponents had to account for it. I remember matchups where we controlled pace early, but once Messier found his rhythm, the ice felt different. He had a way of bending the flow of the game toward his team. Sometimes it was a hit. Sometimes it was a smart chip out of the zone. Sometimes it was a drive to the net that pulled defenders out of position. Every action had purpose, and that purpose often shifted momentum. People talk a lot about his leadership in New York and Edmonton, and all of it is deserved. What gets overlooked is how technically strong he was. Messier understood spacing. He understood timing. He understood how to manipulate defensive structures by making subtle adjustments in his approach. You had to defend him with intention because if you overcommitted, he would find a teammate. If you backed off, he would attack the lane. That dual threat was rare, and it made him a constant challenge. Our games forced me to stay patient and trust my reads because he was smart enough to punish shortcuts. I admired Mark Messier because he represented the ultimate standard of competitive spirit. He played with force, but also with clarity. There was a purpose behind everything he did, and that purpose created belief in the teams he led. When you played against him, you felt that belief. You knew you were up against someone who refused to let moments slip away. That level of leadership is rare in any sport, and facing it made me a better player. Number 3, Patrick Roy, composure. Patrick Roy is the goaltender who forced me to rethink how I approach scoring in the National Hockey League. His composure was unlike anything I had seen before. Most goalies react to the play. Roy controlled it. When I came across the blue line with speed or carried the puck low along the boards, he did not flinch. He stayed centered. He stayed calm. He stayed patient until I was the one who had to make the first move. That is a rare thing for a goaltender, and you expect them to blink because your job as a forward is to create doubt. With Roy, there was no doubt. He trusted his structure and his timing, and that discipline changed everything about the way I attacked him. I have always believed in slowing the game down and manipulating angles, but Roy met me at that same level. He neutralized advantages by refusing to let emotion or pressure break his focus. Facing him in Montreal was always a test. The crowd, the expectation, the history, all of it created an atmosphere that could overwhelm even experienced players. Yet Roy thrived in it. He played bigger in big moments, and his teammates carried themselves differently because of him. They knew that if they protected the slot and limited second chances, he would handle the rest. That confidence affected how opponents played. When you face a goalie who seems untouched by momentum swings, you start thinking more than you should. You double-check passing options. You hesitate before shooting. You look for the perfect chance instead of trusting your instincts. Roy used that hesitation to his advantage. His positioning was so clean that he rarely gave up rebounds, and his glove felt like it could erase any shot that was even slightly readable. He was not just stopping pucks. He was dictating the psychology of the game. I admired Roy because he demanded my very best creativity. The usual solutions did not work. Low blocker shots were swallowed. Cross-crease passes needed extra disguise. Quick releases required perfect timing because he tracked my shoulders and my hips with an awareness that kept him ahead of the play. I remember games where I felt in control, but he would make a save that reset everything. Those moments reminded me that great goaltending can change the entire direction of a night. He had the talent to dominate and the mindset to stay in command even when the game became chaotic. That combination is what made him one of the most difficult challenges of my career. What stands out most when I think about him is how often I left the rink knowing that I had to adjust if I wanted to beat him the next time. Very few players force that kind of internal assessment. Roy did. His composure was not passive, it was active. He slowed the game to his pace, and if you fought against that rhythm, you lost. To succeed, you had to meet him in that calm space and then create something he did not expect. I learned to shoot earlier in sequences. I learned to change eye levels without telegraphing. I learned to hide the puck on my backhand longer. These were not big stylistic changes. They were refinements, and I owe many of them to the challenge of facing him. Patrick Roy earned my admiration because he made excellence feel normal. He did not rely on theatrics. He relied on presence. He played with a steadiness that made every opponent feel the pressure to be perfect. In a league filled with intensity and noise, he proved that the strongest weapon can be composure. And every time I faced him, I walked away sharper than I was before. Number 2. Wayne Gretzky awareness. Wayne Gretzky is the only player I ever faced who seemed to understand the game before it actually happened. His awareness was not instinct in the traditional sense. It was something beyond that. When I was on the ice against him, I felt like I was competing with someone who had access to information the rest of us did not have. He saw the rink in layers. He recognized openings long before they appeared. He anticipated rotations and breakdowns that most players noticed only after the play unfolded, and that level of vision forces you to approach hockey in a different way. You cannot rely on structure alone. You cannot assume your reads are enough. When Gretzky's on the ice, you have to be prepared for the unexpected because he creates it through intelligence rather than force. Our games against Edmonton in the 1980s were some of the most demanding of my career. Their speed and talent were already overwhelming, but Gretzky was the axis that made all of it work. He never wasted motion. He never made a pass without purpose, and he could hold the puck behind the net and dictate the actions of 5 defenders simply by waiting and observing. I admired that patience. Most players rush decisions when they feel pressure. He embraced pressure and used it to manipulate coverage. Facing that kind of player pushed me to understand the game at a deeper level. I had to learn how to disguise my routes. I had to learn how to change tempo during attacks. I had to hide my intentions longer because he processed information too quickly to rely on predictable patterns. People like to compare our styles because of the roles we played for our teams, but we approached the game differently. My strength was controlling the puck and creating plays through size and deception. His strength was controlling the flow of the game itself. Gretzky altered the shape of a shift by simply being available in the right space. He would drift into soft zones and draw defenders with him. Once they hesitated, he released the puck to an open man or cut toward the net with perfect timing. There was no panic in his game. He seemed immune to the pressure that defined our era. He played with clarity, and that clarity shaped every decision his team made. I respected him, not because of the records, though they speak for themselves, but because he forced me to grow. When you share the ice with someone who sees so clearly, you develop new habits. You analyze defensive coverage more deeply. You think one pass ahead instead of focusing only on your first option. You recognize how small details influence outcomes. Gretzky taught me that mastery is not just about execution, it is about understanding. Even on nights when my scoring was strong, I could feel the difference he made in the rhythm of the game. He was always in motion, yet always under control. That balance is almost impossible to achieve, but he lived in that space. I admired Wayne Gretzky because he expanded the definition of what a playmaker could be. He was not overpowering. He did not rely on physical dominance. He relied on awareness at a level that changed the sport. When I faced him, I knew I had to be sharper, calmer, and more deliberate. That kind of opponent stays with you long after the final horn. He made me better simply by being himself, and that is the highest respect I can give any player. Number 1, Jagr, power and control. Jagr is the player who challenged me in ways no one else ever did. People sometimes assume that admiration only grows between opponents, but that is not always true. Jagr was my teammate, yet every day with him felt like facing a rival. He brought a level of power and control that changed the expectations inside our own room. From the moment he arrived, he treated every puck battle and every stride as if it would define his career. That intensity forced me to raise my own standards. I had been the centerpiece of the Pittsburgh Penguins for years, but Jagr never allowed me to be comfortable. He did not do it out of ego. He did it because he pushed himself relentlessly, and that mindset did not leave space for anyone around him to relax. His strength was unlike anything the league had seen. Jagr could protect the puck with his body in ways that made defenders feel helpless. He carried the puck along the boards with balance that looked impossible for someone his size. When he drove his legs, it felt like he was pulling the play forward by himself. I had always relied on reach and deception to control possession, but Jagr created control through force and precision. Watching him evolve from a talented young winger into a dominant presence taught me how powerful commitment and repetition can be. Every shift he took mattered. He did not float. He did not coast. He attacked every inch of ice with purpose. What I admired most was how quickly he absorbed the hardest lessons of the league. His skill was obvious, but what made him exceptional was his willingness to embrace pressure. Opponents targeted him. They pushed him. They tried to take away his rhythm. Instead of adjusting away from contact, he leaned into it. He learned to use his legs as anchors. He learned to turn battles into advantages. He learned to keep the puck longer than anyone thought possible. That combination of strength and patience changed how we played as a team. It opened lanes for me. It created tempo for our attack. It forced defenses to collapse on them, which gave us space to operate. Playing with Jagr meant that the game opened differently. You felt the shift before the puck even crossed the blue line. There were practices where I watched him work and knew he was going to push the sport forward. It was rare for me to feel that about any player, but Jagr created that reaction naturally. His commitment to improvement was relentless. He studied, he trained, he experimented with edges and angles. He tested new ways to shield the puck. In many ways I saw a reflection of what drove me in my best years, but amplified through physical gifts that very few players possessed. When you share the ice with someone who is built like that, thinks like that, and prepares like that, you cannot help but admire the total package. People often ask why Jagr is my number one. The answer is simple. He made me better every single day, not through speeches or rivalry, but through presence, through the standard he set, through the way he carried the puck with confidence. That changed the structure of every shift. He was not just a great teammate. He was a force that reshaped what excellence looked like in our environment. When I look back at all the players I faced and all the players I played beside, he stands alone. Power, control, relentless drive. Jagr earned my admiration not with moments but with consistency, and that is why he is number one. Looking back now, I understand that a career is not defined by the moments when everything went your way. It is defined by the people who forced you to elevate. Ray Bourque sharpened my discipline through precision. Messier tested my resolve through leadership and competitive fire. Patrick Roy demanded creativity and patience through his calm control of the crease. Wayne Gretzky expanded my understanding of how the game could be read and reshaped through awareness that still feels unmatched. And Jaromir Jagr pushed me every day through power and commitment that turned potential into dominance. These five players shaped the evolution of my game in ways that statistics and trophies can never fully explain. They made me think deeper. They made me work harder. They made me appreciate the complexity of hockey at its highest level. When you reach the end of your career, you stop remembering the easy nights. You remember the battles that forced you to find something more inside yourself. You remember the players who demanded your best simply by being who they were. That is what admiration means in this sport. It is not about liking someone. It is about recognizing the truth of what they brought out of you. I owe a part of my growth to each one of these men, and I am grateful for the challenge they provided.
Hockey changes with every generation, but the impact of players like these lasts forever. They leave behind lessons that go beyond the rink. They teach discipline, awareness, resilience, and respect.
And they remind you that greatness is never built alone. It is shaped by competition and refined by those who refuse to give you an easy shift. Those are the players I admired the most.